Welcome back to Taking Action. A little bit of a different look here. Obviously, I'm hosting Anthony with you as always. Chris on a somewhere over the ocean right now, flying back from Italy. So obviously, safe travels over there. And we'll continue on with the show. The pick of the week is already in. We wanted to get that in. Got it in yesterday on Monday. Make sure that everybody could see it. So, as per usual, make sure you subscribe to the Juice Reel. Very important that the pick is already in. And of course, another winning week. But let's get right into it. I know why everybody is here. So let's do a little recap of week 6, then we'll move on to the week 7 games, get a little bit of the thoughts on that, and we'll go from there. Starting off Thursday night football, a little bit of an upset here. Actually, I guess not even a little bit. Eagles at the Giants. Eagles were 7.5-point favorites in this one. End up taking the loss 34-17. They were just never really in the game, to be honest with you. Giants kind of had the command from the very beginning. Cam Scatterboo, 3 rushing touchdowns, 90 yards. Jackson Dart is continuing to play pretty well. So obviously being New York, I know some Giants fans are excited. My brother's an Eagles fan, so it was a sad time for him. But Eagles obviously defending Super Bowl champions, but they're a little out of whack right now. So obviously they're going to look to recover, but the Giants, since the Dart era started, playing pretty well. Broncos -7. They get the 13-11 win against the Jets. That game was all the way over there across the pond in London. Probably the worst London game that we've ever seen. I believe there were 9 less first downs in this game than the previous record low in London. So just a terrible performance of football. I don't know what the people of London did for us to send those two teams over. The Jets had -10 net passing yards. No, that is not made up. Justin Fields had, I believe, 42 passing yards, but took 52 yards worth of sacks. So -10 in passing yards. So that offense is an absolute mess. Obviously, the only team left in the NFL without a win. And New York fans are already getting a little mad at Aaron Glenn. And then more bad news comes out is that Garrett Wilson might miss a couple weeks. Looks like he hyperextended a knee. So obviously keep that into account when you're looking into the future. The Browns at the Steelers. Steelers were 5-point favorites in this one. They get the cover with the 23-9 victory. Dylan Gabriel, not the greatest performance we've seen, but listen, it's his second start. Obviously, he's going to look to improve. Aaron Rodgers leading the Steelers to win the division right now. Now they are a little messed up. The Ravens, obviously, without Lamar, and their defense has all the injuries. The Bengals, no Joe Burrow, but hey. Year 1 of Aaron Rodgers, and potentially the only year, looking pretty good. The Cardinals at the Colts. Colts were 6.5-point favorites. They get a 31-27 victory at home. Weird situation here. Number 1 corner, Tre'Davious Ward, he's out pre-game. He's doing some warm-ups. Absolutely collides with, I believe it was a staffer during pregame warm-ups, knocks himself out, it looks like, gets a concussion. Anthony Richardson, who is the backup quarterback now, obviously, fractured his orbital bone doing like band workouts. So that was just a crazy situation. Kyler Murray also did not play in this game, so Jacoby Brissett stepped into it in his place. He played very well, to be fair. Obviously kept the Cardinals in the game much closer than I think most people probably would have thought, especially without Kyler playing. But Colts keep on going, 5-1 on the season. Daniel Jones is playing well, despite what I thought would happen. The Rams, 7.5-point favorites, got a 17-3 victory over the Ravens. Definitely not a very impressive performance out of the Rams. Puka Nacua does go down with a little bit of an ankle injury, so he might be out for a few weeks. Reports are coming out that he kind of missed a significant one, so obviously that is good news for everybody who likes watching him play or the people that have him on his fantasy team. But a speedy recovery. The Ravens just continue to be a mess, and obviously I think it's going to stay that way until Lamar comes back. The Seahawks at the Jaguars, one of the games that we did really end up liking, was not the official pick of the week, but we'll get to that, a little bit later on anyway. Seahawks get a 20-12 victory. This game was a pick'em. Top corners for the Seahawks did not play in this one, both out with injury, but obviously becoming a very good division, as it usually is. The 49ers, the Cardinals, the Rams, all playing some pretty good football over there. So that'll continue on, and we're going to see who comes out on top of that division. Should, go down to the wire, I would imagine. The Cowboys at the Panthers, upset here. Panthers get a 30-27 victory. I mean, the Cowboys defense just continues to be absolutely terrible. Rico Dowdle had another unbelievable game. He said pregame, that the Cowboys were going to have to buckle their chin straps because obviously he formerly was a member of that team. They decided they did not need his services anymore. And well, he certainly made him pay for it. Had a big game. Bryce Young played unbelievable in the second half. So, he definitely has his moments. Would love to see a little bit more consistency, but it is what it is at this point. The Chargers, 4-point favorites over the Dolphins. They escaped with a 29-27 victory. Looked like the Dolphins were going to get this one done. Tua hits Darren Waller in the back of the end zone with about, I want to say, maybe 50 seconds left in the game, maybe a little bit less than that. But Justin Herbert does his thing. Second most game-winning drive since he's entered the league, only behind Patrick Mahomes, who obviously we know everybody, probably the best, second best, third best quarterback in the league, depending on who you ask. So Justin Herbert leads them down the field, gets Cam Dicker into a position to kick the game-winning field goal. He still has not missed this season, so he has been unbelievable, and the Chargers escape with a win. Patriots were 3.5-point favorites, the game I loved, over the Saints. They get a 25-19 victory. In this one, Drake May continues to play very, very well. Saints, kind of stuck around in this game a little bit. Some questionable officiating. Now, listen, I am a Patriot fan. I still thought it was pretty questionable on that pass interference. I got the touchdown called back. Now they went on to score on that drive anyway, but still, we're gonna need to we're gonna have to see what's going on here. But yeah, they get the win, cover, and we move on. The Titans at the Raiders. The Raiders were 4.5-point favorites in this one. They cover with a 20-10 victory over the Titans. Just another team. The Titans can't really get out of their own way. They just fired their head coach. Looks like the interim head coach. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he was their offensive assistant executive type of situation. So it looks like he's going to take over. I saw something on Twitter that the last 4 or 5 first overall quarterback picks have had their coach fired midseason, which is just an unbelievable thing because you think you bring in the coach, you bring in the quarterback, you want to give them a little bit of time, but that is certainly not what happened over there in Tennessee. So they move on from their head coach, and we'll see maybe if it gets a little bit better. You never know. It was our pick of the week, the 49ers at the Buccaneers. Buccaneers were 3-point favorites in this one, and Baker Mayfield and the Buccaneers continue to do amazing things. I mean, Baker should probably be your MVP if the season ended right now, considering he doesn't have Mike Evans, he doesn't have Chris Godwin, Emeka Egbuka, who's been their unbelievable rookie wide receiver they drafted this year. He goes out in this game. So they're down to, Sterling Shepard, who was a castaway of the Giants. Bucky Irving hasn't been playing, so they've had Rashad White in there. Obviously a good backup, but not the starter. Had offensive line injuries in the beginning of the season, but they continue to just play unbelievable. Now, granted, 49ers are very hurt as well. No Kittle, no Brock Purdy, Juwan Jennings, wide receivers I missed. Ricky Pearsall, he was out in this game. So, and then of course, obviously the big thing, prayers up to Fred Warner, who had a nasty ankle injury. I think they said it dislocated and maybe broke something else as well. So he's obviously going to be out for the season, maybe a little bit into next year, but kind of a nasty injury there. So best to Fred Warner, who probably the undisputed best middle linebacker in the league. But yeah, Buccaneers pick of the week. Make sure you go subscribe over there on the Juice Reel. Like I said, the pick for this week is already out. We got that in yesterday because we knew that, the travel situation this week. So make sure you're subscribed over there. We're on track for another winning season, of course. That's always good news. Watch the show, enjoy, leave a comment, and win some money while you're at it. What's better than that? The Bengals at the Packers, giant spread in this one. And I can't really blame people. Packers were 14.5-point favorites. They get a 27-18 victory, so they don't cover. But looked very bad in the beginning, and then kind of the fourth quarter, Joe Flacco, new quarterback for the Bengals, did come alive. Jamar Chase with a beautiful touchdown over 2 defenders after they kind of mocked him on a previous play, hitting the gritty after they broke something up. But obviously still the Packers get the victory here. Bengals kind of just in that free fall right now without Joe Burrow. That's kind of what happens when you lose your star player. The Lions at the Chiefs. That was a Sunday night football game. Chiefs got a pretty solid win here, 30-17 over the Lions. Juju Smith-Schuster plays well. Xavier Worthy, he comes back as well. They get Rashee Rice back this week. So things are kind of turning around with the Chiefs. Travis Kelce played pretty well. Obviously, we know what Patrick Mahomes can do. He played very well. And the Lions, a lot of injuries starting to pile up on the defensive side of the ball. They were showing a graphic, midway through the game, listing a lot of the players that they had missing. So, the defense is obviously struggling. And the offense just didn't have, too good of a night. Looked like they were going to start off hot, and then they had the illegal formation with Jared Goff on that trick play where he went under center and then went out and caught the pass, but he didn't get set first, so it was an illegal play, unfortunately. Great play design, but that comes back, and I felt like that was kind of a turning point in the game. They just never really got anything going from that point on, and the Chiefs kind of just continued to pile on. I would say another big shocker, at least to me, the Bills. This was the first Monday Night Football game. They lose 24-14. The Bills were 3.5-point favorites in that one to the Falcons. And I think the Falcons kind of dominated from the opening. They went right down the field, scored a touchdown, scored again. They almost scored another touchdown going into the half, but Drake London stepped out of like the 1 yard line with no time remaining after, a big gain going into the half. And the Bills just never really felt like they got it going. A lot of pressure on Josh Allen. It just the Falcons were definitely in control of this game kind of throughout. So Bijan Robinson is just a heck of a football player. Him and Drake London had unbelievable performance. I think Drake London had like 10 catches, over 130 yards and a touchdown. Bijan, with that, I think he had an 81-yard touchdown run, the longest of his career, second longest in Falcons history. So great game out of them. And then I would say another shocker, kind of both Monday Night Football games, we get upsets here. Bears get a win at the Commanders, 25-24. The Commanders were 4.5-point favorites in that one, so obviously the underdog takes it on both Monday night games. It was kind of the reverse. Last year, Jaden Daniels needed to go down the field, and they end up beating the Bears on a Hail Mary. Obviously, everybody remembers the corner for the Bears kind of celebrating before the Hail Mary was actually thrown, thinking that they were going to win the game, and it was real awkward when the Commanders caught it and they lost. But Caleb Williams goes down the field, gets them in field goal position to get a walk-off field goal from Jake Moody, who had been released from the 49ers earlier this season. Kickers are just a weird life in the NFL. You're the greatest thing ever when you make, and then you miss a few and you're gone and become a journeyman kicker. It's a very strange thing. DeAndre Swift with a hell of a game. He felt like it was impossible to tackle him. Obviously, the weather conditions did play a little bit of something in this one with Jaden Daniels. That was the big turning point in the game. Looked like an RPO with him and Bill Krosky, Merritt, and, end up fumbling it. Bears recover. They go down. They end up kicking that field goal and winning the game. So that was your week 6. A little bit of a recap for some of the things that went on. But I know everybody wants to get into this upcoming week, and that is exactly what we will do. Steelers at the Bengals started out as a 4.5-point. Steelers started off 4.5, went to 5.5. The total stayed at 42.5 in that one. Obviously, a divisional game here. We kick it off Thursday Night Football. I feel like these two teams are always going to play each other tough, no matter who is under center. Aaron Rodgers, Joe Flacco now, so Flacco kind of gives them a little bit of the boost. Browning was just not the guy at quarterback for the Bengals, obviously. And it's always going to be, I feel like with the weapons that the Bengals have, you're always going to kind of be in the game. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, they can absolutely do their thing. Obviously, their Achilles heel the entire time Joe Burrow has been there. Well, besides the offensive line, has been their defense. So obviously, kind of up in the air there, 5.5. I know it didn't start there, but that's a usually number to stay away from. But nothing too crazy going on into that one. Rams at the Jaguars. This game is over in London. Rams opened up 3.5-point favorites. That got down to 3. That total went from 47 to 46 to 44.5. So a little bit of a downfall there. I imagine the fall for the total definitely, and even for the spread, it looks like Puka Nacua is probably going to miss his game. Obviously, that elevates Devontae Adams more into that number 1 role. Still have Kyron Williams as your running back, so Rams should be able to make some moves there. And the Jags, they've played some pretty good football recently. Obviously, we know they just beat the Chiefs on Monday Night Football, so they're kind of doing their thing. They did lose this week, obviously, to the Seahawks, but still very good on, first year for Liam Cohen, doing very well. And we'll have to see if Brian Thomas Jr. can kind of get to where he was last year. The Raiders at the Chiefs, another divisional game here. Chiefs opened at 10.5. That went to 11.5. The total being at 45.5. This is just another one where obviously you know who the better team is going to be here. It's just a matter of if you really want to lay that many points. It's always very tricky for the backdoor cover division game, so they might play each other a little bit tougher. But Geno has had a little bit of a problem turning the ball over here recently. So big spread there. I feel like a lot of the points were probably going to come out of the Chiefs here. Like I said, Xavier Worthy is back. Rashee Rice is back from his suspension. Travis Kelce did play good in this past week. So that Chiefs offense is kind of getting back to what we've been used to over the past few years. But we'll see how things goes. A lot of points in that one. The Dolphins at the Browns. I mean, you want to talk about, unless you're a fan of either one of these teams, I very much do question watching this game, unless you're betting on it, of course. But Browns opened 2.5. That went down to 2 and then back up to 3. Total started at 41.5, went to 41, and then down to 40.5. So not expecting too much scoring in this game, which would make sense. The Browns do have probably the top defense in the NFL right now, if you want to look at it stats-wise. Dolphins definitely have some controversy going on with them as well. It's kind of a matter of time, people think, for Mike McDaniels to get fired from the Dolphins. And then, of course, you had a post-game press conference with Tua. Either that or it was Monday where he's saying, people aren't coming to team meetings or they're showing up to team meetings late, kind of airing the dirty laundry out for the Dolphins. So they're kind of they're kind of on the ropes right now. So we will see how they respond to that. Sometimes calling people out gets them to play a little bit harder, put your pride on the line. Sometimes it shuts people down, but we're going to find out when they play the Browns this week. Patriots at the Titans. Patriots opened 6-point favorites, moved to 6.5, up to 7. So a steady little increase there. Like I said earlier in this show, Titans did fire their head coach. So this is going to be a new era. It's one of those things that can be a little tricky. You see firing the head coach gives them a boost, and they go out and they kind of play for themselves and show that it's not me, it was them, or it deflates the team. I don't know how you could deflate the Titans much more than they already were, but I guess anything is possible. Patriots, like I said, 7-point favorites there, 4-2. They're actually in first place of the AFC East for the first time, I think, since like the end of the 2019 season, I think it was. So times are looking up for the Patriots right now. Drake May's playing pretty well. The Saints at the Bears. Bears opened up 6-point favorites. That dropped down to 5.5, 45.5 opened the total, and then that moved up to 47.5. Kind of surprised the spread went down here after the Bears get a win in Monday Night Football. I know it was only 1 point, but it's over the Commanders, a pretty solid team, and I would say the Saints are definitely not on the level of the Commanders. Caleb Williams, listen, he has been playing pretty well, so we'll have to see what happens there if he can continue growing into unbelievable expectations he had coming out of college in USC. DJ Moore, Rome Odunze. Rome Odunze's really coming to his own this season as well. So spread going down, total going up. Kind of a contradiction there, but we'll see what happens in that one. For teams that you might not think are very good, should be a decent game. The Eagles opened 2.5, and it stayed there against the Vikings. 42.5 opened the total, moved up to 43. Listen, the Eagles coming off back-to-back losses, an embarrassing loss, obviously, to your division rival in the Giants on Thursday Night Football, so that's national television. You would imagine they're going to want to play. Zadarius Smith, who was one of their pass rushers, just retired on Instagram like 2 days ago, so they have even more things going on. Obviously, you still have to watch the reactions of A.J. Brown and if he's happy, if he's not. Their offense is kind of up in the air right now, and this kind of felt like it was going to happen. Listen, you lose 2 coordinators, both on the offensive and the defensive side, both go out to become head coaches off that Super Bowl winning team. You lose a lot of players from that roster. You thought that, things were going to take a second, but they started off 4-0, then they lose the next couple of games. So it's kind of in panic mode right now. But look for the Eagles to bounce back here. Carson Wentz should obviously still be the starter, I would imagine, for the Vikings. So, hey, a little revenge game, I guess you can say, against the Eagles. But 2.5, you get it for less than a field goal. So if you're feeling it is a home team underdog, which, definitely I know Chris likes to stay away from. So just a thought there. The Panthers at the Jets. This one had a definite movement. Jets opened up as 2.5-point favorites. That went down to 1. And then now the Panthers are 1.5-point favorites over the Jets. I was kind of surprised at this opening line as it is, with the Jets being favorited. And that's kind of the tricky thing, and why we're really trying to incorporate everybody into the juice reel, like we say, if you want our picks. They're putting these opening lines out a week, before games are even being played. Like, you can bet on, this is week 7, you can bet on week 8 right now, which is kind of a crazy thing, because obviously you don't know what player might get hurt in week 7 and kind of change the trajectory of everything. So these opening lines, if you can get them early enough, can definitely benefit you. And I think that's what has certainly been happening over there on the juice reel. So as I say, link is in the description. I usually put it in the comments as well. So make sure you go and subscribe there. Or if you follow on Instagram, it's also one of the links in the Instagram bio. But listen, Panthers come off of a victory against the Cowboys. Now, granted, the Cowboys defense is absolutely horrible. Like I said, I think statistically is the worst one in the league, even worse than the Ravens, which is hard to believe. But the Jets just can't do anything on offense. Like I said, Justin Fields and that passing offense had -10 net passing yards, which is unbelievable. You lose Garrett Wilson now, so your top weapon isn't going to be available. You think the fire sale might be coming with maybe Breece Hall getting traded somewhere and some of their other talented players, just so they can acquire draft picks and kind of really restart with Aaron Glenn, because I don't think he's getting fired, people. I know the Jet fans want their pitchforks out, but you got to give the guy some time. Dan Campbell was like, 10-1 at the beginning of this Lions, and now at the beginning of the Lions tenure, now they're one of the best teams in the NFL. So going to be a little bit of a build there, but yeah, Jets go from 2.5-point favorites to 1.5-point underdogs in New York. The Colts at the Chargers. Chargers open 1.5, moved to 1, moved back to 1.5. So kind of up in the air in that one in terms of the movement total, from 47.5 to 48.5. Justin Herbert is continuing to play well. If you're a believer in the Colts, you look at some of the the victories they've had this season, definitely not against the best teams. And the one team I think that they did play this year that I feel like people would agree on is a good team were the Rams, and they did lose in that one. Now, there were some circumstances like the guy dropping the ball at the 1-yard line to make them lose that game. But just saying in general, I think this is a good litmus test for the Colts. Jonathan Taylor is leading the NFL in rushing by like 200 yards over everybody else. Daniel Jones is continuing to play well, despite what I at least thought. And that offensive line is unbelievable. You obviously hope that Ward is going to be able to play in this game. Like I said in the pregame this past week, got that concussion running into another staffer during pregame warmups, which is crazy. So something to watch there for sure. Obviously for the Chargers, Amari Hampton's still out. Their rookie running back who had been playing pretty well to start the season. So a couple of injury notes to watch there, but I think good litmus test for the Colts, and see if the Chargers, I guess a test for both teams in reality. But we move over to the Giants at the Broncos, and the Colts and the Chargers. That starts the 4:00 window. The Giants at the Broncos. Broncos open 7.5. That moves down to 7. And the total open and stays at 40.5. The Broncos have 10 more sacks than any other team in the NFL. So they are obviously getting after the quarterback at a historic rate. I think right now they're on pace to break the NFL sack record by an individual team by like 10 or something. I want to say it's like 72, and they're on pace for like 80 something. So they're having an unbelievable year getting to the passer. So you got to look for Jackson Dart to use his legs in this one, which he has not been shy to do. Obviously, Cam Scatterboo, if they can get maybe some of the play action going as well to kind of nullify that pass rush, that's what they will be looking to do. But the Broncos defense, again, it was the Jets, but they did hold them to just 11 points. But the offense has kind of been stalling in the past weeks. They only scored I believe it was, like I said, 13 against the Jets. Yeah, 13 points against the Jets this past week. They weren't looking very good against the Eagles up until that fourth quarter. So their offense is kind of stalled out a little bit. And of course, we all know that the Giants have an unbelievable pass rush. You got Dexter Lawrence, you got Brian Burns, you got Kayvon Thibodeau. So it's going to be a good pass rush matchup. I'll say that. If you getting to the quarterback, then this might end up being the game for you. The Commanders opened 2.5, went to 1.5 in this one. This total keeps moving up, and I don't blame them. 52 to 53.5 to 54.5 it is at right now. Like I said, the Cowboys defense just not very good, but as it has been, to Dak's credit, the offense under him has been very good. So Cowboys are able to put up points. They just can't stop anybody, and shocking, they really need a pass rusher that would help them out. They traded Micah Parsons. So, but as Jerry said, very important to stop the run, which they're also really not doing, in my opinion. You can ask Rico Dowdle though. Kind of, obviously the division game here, long-standing rivalry, 1.5 for the command. 1.5 point favorites the Commanders are. They do take that loss on Monday Night Football, so they have a little bit of a short week. Obviously, by that day, they got to travel over there to Dallas as well. I think if Terry McLaurin can play in this game, that'll be a big boost to them. He hasn't been active since, I believe, week 3, dealing with a thigh injury, I want to say. So look to get him back, of course, and then that can really open up the offense as well. Deebo Samuel, Bill Krosky-Mara they've been kind of holding everything together for the Commanders. But going to be a high-scoring game. 54.5 is a lot, but I would not be the most shocked person in the world. The Packers at the Cardinals. Packers opened 5.5, went to 6.5, total from 45 to 44.5 here. I think the biggest thing here is just to watch if Kyler Murray is going to play again. Like I said, Jacoby Brissett I was getting my former Patriots mixed up. Jacoby Brissett did have a good game up against the Colts last week, but Packers defense obviously a little bit better than the Colts, I would say, at least. So I think, like I said, I think the big thing here is seeing if Kyler Murray is going to play in 6.5. Oh man, maybe a little bit too much for me to get into, but Falcons at the 49ers. This is the Sunday Night Football game. I don't know why we keep continuing to do these 2 Monday Night Football games, but I guess I don't get paid the big bucks to do that thinking. The Falcons at the 49ers. 49ers opened 4.5, down to 3, down to 2.5. Obviously, I would imagine this has a lot to do with the Falcons getting that big upset victory over the Bills at home. 49ers just dealing with injuries all over the place. I mean, we go over this every single week, but every single week they seem to lose more people. I don't know if Brock Purdy's going to play in this game. You don't know if Jawan Jennings is going to play. Pearsall is going to play. Kittle, they did say, might be back for this one, but you do lose Fred Warner on the defensive side of the football as well, which is obviously huge, kind of the quarterback, as they say, of the defensive side of things. So I think I'd rather see how they do first. But listen, if you want to do something with the Falcons, I couldn't blame you, coming off of a big win on national television and then playing a very depleted 49ers team. So see what happens there. See if Bijan and Drake London can kind of repeat their performances. First of 2 Monday night games, the Buccaneers at the Lions. Lions opened up 4.5. That went up to 5.5. This is the game of injuries too. Like I said, the Buccaneers are going to be without their top 3 receivers, I would imagine, in Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, and Emeka Egbuka. So I don't know who Baker Mayfield plans on throwing the ball to, but it seems like he's been getting it done either way. The Lions have a bunch of players missing on the defensive side of the football as well. So I think there's just too much going on to get near this game. Like I said, Lions 4.5 up to 5.5, and then that total from 53.5 to 52.5 could potentially be a shootout, even with all the injuries. But definitely going to be an interesting watch, I would say that. And then we wrap up the week with the last Monday Night Football game. That would be the Texans at the Seahawks. Seahawks opened to 2.5, went down to 3, back up to 3.5. Total went from 42.5 to 42 to 40.5. Texans coming off of a bye. The offense definitely hasn't really clicked, I would say. Seahawks were without their top 2 corners this past week. Not sure if they will play this week, so that's something to watch out for. But Sam Darnold has been playing well. That defense has been playing very well. Get the 12th man over there in Seattle. Plus, you get a Texans team having to go west, a little bit of a different time zone because, even they're not doing the like 7 and then 8 o'clock. They're doing, this game's actually going to be at 10. So definitely a little bit of a different time clock for everybody, I would say, but Texans moving time zones over as well. But that will wrap it up for the week. Good luck to everybody out there in the betting world. Of course, make sure you subscribe to the Juice Reel. Like I said, the link will be in the bio. Our pick is already in, so make sure, you go take a look at it, put a little schmeckle on it, and then continue to win with us because that's what we have been doing. Like I said, on pace for another winning, wonderful season. And yeah, we will be back next week. I appreciate everybody watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, subscribe, leave a comment, good or bad, and see you next time.